Good afternoon or good morning, depending where you're calling us from, and welcome to today's Comodo One Technical Thursdays webinar. My name is Adam Cohen. I'll be the host of this session as usual. I believe this is the 11th session we've hosted on Comodo One Technical Thursdays. These have been very popular since the second half of 2017 last year, and we continue to offer these to our clients as we get feedback that suggests this provides great value for our partners and clients to ask us questions about how to use Comodo One directly, and we can show them how to do that with our system. So as usual, we have with us today Ezekiel. He will be he'll be answering your questions. So as usual, I'll take the questions from you guys and ask it to Ezekiel. Say hi, Ezekiel.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so before we get going, I just want to go through a few basic housekeeping items as we do every session. So for all of those of you who have joined us in the past, I'm sure this won't be news to you, but in case this is your first time, questions will be taken at the end of the webinar. So if you would like to ask a question, there's no audio, but you can ask it in the chat box through the GoToWebinar panel. So ask your question at any point during the webinar, and we'll take that at the end during the Q&A session, which takes place in the last 15 minutes of the webinar. If we're unable to answer your question during this webinar because of timing, don't panic. We will definitely get back to you after the webinar with a response. So even if we don't have time to get through to your question in this webinar, still feel free to ask your question because we'll get back to you after the webinar to answer it. So it's still definitely worth asking a question, anything you got on your mind. Okay, so with that then, I'll ask Ezekiel the first question. So these questions, by the way, for people who aren't familiar with the format, these are the questions that were asked during the registration form as we allow our attendees to ask questions in advance. Okay, so Ezekiel, the first question we have is, what alerts can I get from Comodo and how do I configure them?
All right. First, let's open up the ITSM here. So we can actually monitor specific events from your machines, from your endpoints, specifically a Windows machine. So if I go here in the profile, I'm just going to open this profile right here and have a monitoring profile section. If you don't see anywhere this monitoring is, it could be just hiding here. So there's like an arrow pointing sidewards, and I also have a drop down here for add profile section if ever it's nowhere in this list. Okay, so if you see the monitoring here, as soon as you click it, it's going to show up in this area. Okay, so as soon as you have the monitoring, you can add a new monitoring profile, or you can also pick the recommended performance monitoring. This one right here is just custom monitoring that I made. So let me just open this up. So like here on this one, I can monitor specific conditions or events, and here are the conditions. You can create conditions by performance, file size, folder size, etc. And of course your like condition. If it's more than 75% for 5 minutes, then you will get an alert. Now, the alert settings will be here. By default, we always have to have an alert, which is the default alert. Now, if you want to customize that, we can get or set up your own alerts right here under the configuration templates. So I just open it up in a new tab. I have a My Alert here. If you want to create, there's a create button there on top, or clone an existing one. All right, so now here under the general, we just have a name and description. It's pretty basic. But if you go to the alert settings, this is where you can, add some or customize some options like do not create additional alerts about the same issue in what interval, a day, 2 days, 5 days, depends on what you need. Create notifications on the portal, meaning that's the bell icon in your Comodo One portal. or create alert tickets on service desk, so it's going to automatically create a ticket for you. It can also append to an original ticket if there is an open ticket for performance monitoring conditions, and automatically close the ticket if the metrics go below the threshold. Plus, you can also gather some information like device data, performance metrics, connectivity metrics. If this will help you depends on what you are trying to monitor right here. So since it's about monitoring, it's essential for you to get like the device data, performance metrics, and connectivity metrics. So as soon as you have this, you have all this customized. By the way, we also have additional recipients here, wherein you can specify which are the people that will, of course, receive the alert. Okay, so by default, it is sending out an email to the admin, which is myself, or the account admin. And you can also send it to the portal administrators, whoever are the administrators you listed down here in your users list. You can also specify an email address or just the regular users in your ITSM. Okay, so once you have filled this in, you can now go back to your monitoring profile and call on that alert, my alert. All right, that's it. Another cool thing about monitoring here is you can run a procedure if this goes beyond the threshold. So if it's more than 75% for 5 minutes, then you can run a procedure that will, you think can fix the problem. Like, for example, about performance, you can try to run a cleanup, something like this. And this will run in the form of a Python script. All right. So yeah, that's the type of alert that you can get. Depends on the conditions that you have set in here. And you can also run procedures manually, and you can attach alerts to these procedures, like, for example, collecting logs. And if something happened, I don't have an edit option here because this is a default procedure. But if I clone this one up, you will see I have an edit button, and I can use an alert setting when this procedure fails. So you can also get the type of alert by running a procedure, and when it fails, you will get an alert. All right. Yeah, that's for the different ways of how you're getting an alert with ITSM or Comodo One.
Great, thank you, Ezekiel. The next question we have is, can you talk to us a bit about server monitoring and patch management and how they work?
Okay, well, the support for ITSM, if we go under the settings support, our ITSM agent is pretty flexible. It can work on a regular workstation and server versions of Windows as well. So the same features that I showed earlier will work for server or workstation version. All right, and as well as the procedures. So it works in workstation and server version. About the patch management, let me go here, procedures. We have two types of procedure here about patches. The patch procedure, or basically Windows patch, and also the third-party patch procedure. All right, so like for this, an example, third-party patch. So I can actually go to the execution options, which will give me the option to update all third-party applications that we support. If you want to check out what are the supported third-party applications, you can refer to our help guide. That's help.comodo.com. And you can just search for the word third-party ITSM. I usually get this question a lot, so it has already been saved there. So these are the list of supported third-party applications. So if you basically choose this is going to update all that's listed there. Okay, or you can also update only the selected application. You just have to simply type in the first few letters of the name of the application, pick it there, and then click save. And you can get multiple. All right. So yep, Of course, after that, you also have the restart control options. If you want to force a reboot in 5 minutes, suppress the reboot, or warn the user about a reboot. And schedule execution log, same thing that we will have for other procedure like script and Windows patch procedure. So schedule is not where you are going to do the scheduling. This is just where you will see all the schedules where this procedure will run, in which profile, I mean. So you see the first column there says profile name, right? But you will basically do the scheduling in the profile. I will show that later. And the execution log, so this is just, tracking down where, in which device this patch procedure ran. Okay, so yeah, um, if I go back here and just to show you a little bit about the patch procedure, there you go. So it's almost the same. There's restart control options, schedule, execution logs, just the same thing. The only difference is the execution option. So what you have here are the types of updates. We have the critical updates, definition updates, feature packs updates. If you want to know more about these types of updates, you can read the definitions from Microsoft website itself. All right. Now, just about how to schedule the patches. We can now go to the profiles. Go to your profile. Make sure that this profile is applied correctly to the devices where you want to run the procedure. And we're going to look for the procedure. Right, the procedure is not here. If it's not here, it should be under the add profile section. There, so the tab has been added here. Now I'm just going to have to add that procedure that I just made, which is the test patch. Right, so I'll just have to pick the date, schedule time, and additional options down there. So as soon as I click add, this is now going to be applied to this profile, and now this profile will apply it to all of the machines where this is associated. Okay, now if I go back to tab procedures, I go back to the test batch, I will now see, oh, it's not here. I think I didn't save it, but it should be there. Procedures, sorry about that. If I click add, test, patch, add, save. So don't forget that. Make sure to always save your changes that you're doing here in the profile, so you won't end up like me. Test patch, schedule. There you go. So you will now see under the schedule in which profile this is applied. All right, so that's basically for the procedures, specifically about patch management and server monitoring. It's just, the one that I showed earlier.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ezekiel. So the next question we have, actually talking about procedures, is how do I set up scripts to help with system maintenance?
Oh, that's a good one. We actually have a lot of predefined procedures here. So these predefined procedures cannot be modified. So just like what I did under the C1 logs earlier, I cloned it, so I just can actually modify it. All right, and we have a maintenance type of procedures here, like for example, the delete all temp files, which is usually being requested. There, this one. Delete system temp, internet temp, and browser cache for all users. So if you want to free up some space from your machine, like you want to do this regularly, then what you just have to do is to go to your profile, make sure to schedule this on a daily basis, so we will empty those temp files or temp folders. So you have to add delete temporary or system temp, put your schedule, and then click add. So that's just about it. All right, and we also have, you can go to this scripts.comodo.com. This is where all of the requested scripts are being published, requested by other users or other MSPs as well. So you will see categories here in the left panel, like if it's a script monitor, applications, user accounts, network, things like that. Um, so like for example, temp, let me just try to search for that. And actually, some of the default procedures or predefined procedures that we have right here is also here, because originally they all came from here. So like for example, show temporary files or current users. This is the one that we just made. Delete temp files of current user and things like that. All right, you can also request a script on your own if there's a cool thing that you have in mind that you think will help many MSPs to ease their job in maintaining the machines. You can send a request to the developers of Comodo. You just have to click this button right here. All right.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Ezekiel. The next question we have is, how do I manually uninstall all the Comodo products on a computer that has problems with regular uninstall?
Regular uninstall. If it's about uninstalling it directly from the machine, we actually have a couple of ways of doing it. One is by going here in the device list. If you delete the device in your list, like for example this one, uh, delete device, it's going to ask you if you want to remove the Comodo client security and Comodo client communication, which is basically what we just need in order for us to manage your devices. So these are the only two applications that you have to uninstall if you want to get rid of Comodo of your system. All right, but if this doesn't work, I can also try to run this. It's also in a form of a script. There's a script here to uninstall Comodo client security and Comodo client communication. So it's like a clean uninstallation of these applications. All right, it's loading a little bit slow. Uninstall Comodo. So while it's loading up, what I'm gonna have to do is to go to the procedures. I'm not sure if we have that as a predefined. Let me just check. Uninstall. This is just Comodo client security. Okay, so it's not there, so I'm gonna have to create script procedure uninstall CCC, short term for Comodo client communication, and CCS. All right, now I just created the script procedure. I will now type in the code here under the view procedure. So I'm gonna get that right here. Uninstall Comodo client security and Comodo client communication with reboot. So this is what we're looking for. All right, so all I need to do is to copy the code, put it right there, make sure there's no extra spaces, click save. Schedule tab and execution logs, just the same thing with the other two procedures I showed earlier. So we don't have to go and do that. Now you have the code here. You just have to simply run it onto the actual device or do it by schedule. It depends on how you want to do it, basically. So you know how to do it by schedule. If you want to do it manually directly to the device, you can go here, select the device, click run procedure, and then type in uninstall CCC. Oh, one thing about creating a script procedure. This is something that you don't have to do in patch and third-party patch procedure. This is only required for script procedure. Okay, so you have to make this ready for a review, because the admins, if the technicians will have to type in a code in Python script, and implement it to the machines, the admin should know about it. So we have this process of reviewing the codes, or I mean the script, uh, and the admins will have the option to approve or decline it. Right. So if I click approve on this, I go back to the device list. I select the device, run procedure, uninstall CCC. There you go. There we have it. So as soon as I click run, it will just run on this machine. So yeah, those are different ways of removing Comodo client security and communication to your system.
Okay, thank you, Ezekiel. The next question we have is how to set up ticketing systems to create tickets when users send an email.
All right, so that is for the service desk. Let me switch gears here. Let me just get rid of this, that. All right, so first thing that you will have to do is we have to go to the admin panel. All right, just so everyone is aware, we have two panels in service desk. We have admin panel and staff panel. Now I'm in the admin panel. I will just have to go to the emails. Under the settings menu, we have emails, and then you have to make sure that the email fetching option is enabled. As soon as this is enabled, you can just click on this little icon right beside that and click manage mailboxes. Okay. Now, it will bring you under the emails menu and email submenu. Now, we'll show you all the list of the email addresses that you have in here, and you can set up an email to be able to send and receive emails. And you are trying to create an email that allows it to create the ticket automatically as soon as there's an incoming email. Right. So what we just basically need is this. We don't need the SMTP because that's allowing the email address to send out an email to someone. So we'll just have to set this up. Of course, the email address, email name, the ticket setting, if in which department it will go, in which priority category. But this is not mandatory. If you don't select anything, it will choose the default settings that you have there. Of course, the email login information, so username and password. If you want to set up forwarding, and then of course the IMAP or POP setting. Right, so you'll just have to put in your host name, port number, protocol, things like that. As soon as you have all this set up and the email fetching enabled into the settings, you're all good. As soon as there's an email coming into that email address, it will automatically create it as a ticket.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for explaining that, Ezekiel. The next question we have is how to do bulk device enrollment non-DC AD.
Oh, it's for ITSM. Let's get back here. All right. So first, we will have to generate an enrollment agent. Actually, even by just getting the enrollment agent from here will work. You just have to choose the email address and the company where the device is associated. Or you can also go under the devices bulk installation package to choose in which user, company, device group, and even the profile. It can, you can select it right here. Unlike with generating the enrollment agent here, you just have a chance to select the email address and company where this is associated. But here under the bulk installation package, you have the option to choose the device group and also the profile. All right. So yeah, as soon as you are able to generate the agent, you can now go and use the auto discovery and deployment tool. Now, the auto discovery and deployment tool can be downloaded by going to the tools menu. And there we have the auto discovery and deployment tool. Just have to click download, but I already have in my virtual machine right here. So I just pulled it up. Auto Discovery and Deployment Tool. Alright, it's taking quite some time to load up. There you go. Alright, so this Auto Discovery and Deployment Tool basically allows you to deploy the not actually just about Comodo products, but any MSI or EXE packages can be deployed by this application in multiple machines. So I just have to click I accept. Sorry, my resolution is a little bit slow. That's why it's not easy to click it. So now I just have to choose the package. And this is my ITSM installer. All right. Now I can also specify parameters if I want to do quiet installation or something like that. And you can also use separate package for 32-bit and 64-bit application. In this case, our ITSM agent is a hybrid package, so you don't really have to use that. Now, this is the first step of the deployment. The second step would be, that's a problem. I have a very high resolution, so it's not allowing me to click it, so I'm going to have to rerun this one now. And this is slowing down a little bit right now. Gonna have to stop this. All right, well, I think I'm gonna have to restart the virtual machine. I think I'm just gonna have to use the help guide. This actually will help you a lot. Auto discovery deployment. Okay, this one right here. And as I was saying, so after you select the package, the next thing that you can do is to configure your deployment options. So you have 3 deployment options. One is Active Directory. Next is a work group or home group, and then using a network address. All right. So if your machines are connected to an Active Directory network or domain controller, you can use this option to easily deploy the package. Or if it's not, you can still deploy it using a home group or a network address range. Okay, so as soon as you selected your deployment option, next thing is it's going to list down all the machines for you. You just it's a checkbox, so you just have to select your devices. You can multiple select the devices and then just click next to deploy it. That's it. You just have 3 easy steps to do that. One is to select the package, the deployment options, choose your device, and then deploy. That's it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Ezekiel. Okay, so that's all the time we have for the questions at the moment. So now we'll move on to the Q&A session.